Hey everybody, thanks for checking out this episode of the Warp Chatter podcast, the Horus Heresy Legions podcast for players by players. And a big part of that is you, the players. We have guests on every week to talk about their enjoyment, their fascination with the game, whatever it is that brought them into the hobby, who they are, what they enjoy about Warhammer 40k Horus Heresy Legions. Typically, we've got a guest list out for about 2 or 3 weeks, but it is an open invitation. So if you want to participate and would like to be a guest on our episode, please get in touch with me via Facebook, DM on Discord, or on Reddit, and we'll get you on the guest list. The major requirement there is just, access to Discord and primarily English speaking for ease of communication. But other than that, it doesn't matter what type of player you are, how new you're to the game, if you've been playing the game forever, if you're a top 50 player, if you play events. It doesn't matter if you're an Iron Warriors fan or not. We'd be happy to have you and talk. Actually, I think we've had way more Iron Warriors fans on the show than Imperial Fist fans, but we digress. So that's just a quick plug before we get on with today's episodes, and let's do it.
In the far future, there will be only war.
The chains are broken.
This will be a good hunt.
Through the dark veil of space-time.
This is Warp Chatter.
Stone and steel will speak.
Let's get this over with.
Welcome once again to the Warp Chatter podcast. This is the podcast by players for players, talking about the Horus Heresy Legions digital card game, Horus Heresy lore, Warhammer 40,000. I am your host, Scuff D, and we've got ourselves a couple guests. With me today, as usual, is Crab co-host Axel Manning.
Howdy, howdy, ho, folks.
And joining us today, we have Lucarionape.
Morning, all.
And SevenCircles.
Hey, boo-boo.
All right. So we have got 2 guests with us today. We've got kind of, I don't want to say it's a loaded topic, but I think it's a topic that's due, and hopefully
it's one for argument for some people.
I think so because sometimes it doesn't get talked about enough, or it hasn't seen enough recent talking. But we're talking about the Night Lords Legion. We're doing a Legion spotlight. The Night Lords, the 8th Legion. They're in an interesting spot, and I think we're going to get to around talking about.
Interesting is the best way you could have put it.
I think that's fair. We're going to talk about that kind of general stuff that lore-wise, card-wise, decks. I was really hoping there'd be some hint, or and maybe this episode airs on September 30th, right? September 30th.
Yeah, 30th.
So maybe there's a chance in the 31 days that follow through October that Everguild, in their patchy wisdom, do a overhaul rework of the Night Lords Legion.
Now, this may always not be a sign of it, but Sevatar does have an alt art coming, so maybe then, but we don't know.
Right.
I mean, Sevatar's alt art has been pushed back how many times now? At least pushed
yeah,
back according to our knowledge.
Yeah, but hey, it's probably coming, maybe. A man can dream.
Probably coming, maybe. But yes, that is definitely, that's my hope. So I hope that a lot of what we talk about will be quickly outdated, because, there's still some good lore. I think the Night Lords have got some really good lore. Kurz is an amazing character, and we can talk about him.
Thank you, Batman.
Yeah, exactly. At length. But in terms of the cards, I believe it's Swagnus, who is one of the players on the Discord. He's always got it queued up, ready to tell you how many days it's been since the last time the Night Lords were included in a patch. And I think we're going over a year and a half now. I don't know the full day count, but I think that seems right. And the last patch that touched the Night Lords was a very minor tweak to Modron.
Oh, was it Modron?
I think
it was giving him his deal 1 damage at being able to turn to an injured unit, I believe.
Yeah, he was included with like a couple warlords. Different warlords got some reworks, was when they changed Saul Tarvitz and they redid the Emperor's Children stuff. And then he was kind of looped in there, and I think that's really the last time that they got anything handed to them. So they are overdue. But
yeah, I would say
before we get to our topic of the day, we usually get around talking to the players. This is a podcast by players for players. It's always good to know who we have talking with us. Now, Lucarionape, you were back with us when we were talking about the Emperor's Children, you and Pirate Lahi. I hope I got that right. I know I didn't, but I'm going to hope I did.
It's Lae. It's Lae.
Lae? Damn it.
Lae. At least that's my accent.
We can't say it right every time. It's illegal at this point.
At this point, I now
the
feel
angry
like
Quebecois ban.
It's required that I mispronounce his
no,
name.
it's Quebecois.
Yeah.
Okay. I come from a different accented group, so I will be shot if I say it my way.
And it was back with the Emperor's Children, but if you want to tell everybody who you are, kind of give an introduction, what got you into Legions, and a little bit about yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Lucarionape. If you've been watching since a while, this will be a rehash. I am the Lodge Master for Orion. That is basically the big thing about me in this community, and yeah. Orion being we were originally the recruitment lodge for the Trader's End community. We've now been toned down, I think, a little bit to the low intensity lodge. So yeah, and that's happened. Thingy. I've been playing. Oh god. I think I joined when Alpha Legions started. If I pull up the game, actually, I might say let's see if I can figure out how to see.
It doesn't say the days that you've been playing anymore, so that's disappointing.
But I'm also the Eternal 2000er. And I've never been called that before, but I'm going to say it now. Because I have been 2000 since about the August of the year I joined on ladder. I just don't play ladder.
That's fair. Play what you want to play.
Nothing wrong with that. I mostly can be found making a fool of myself in practice or event if I do pop up. I think that's it for me.
Right, in SevenCircles, how about you tell us about yourself?
To be fair, I started playing again the game like 3 months ago. I used to play like 2 years ago when the Alpha Legion got the first nerf. And after that, I just take some breaks. I'm kinda like a casual player. I don't play for so many months.
So what was it that brought you back to the game as a whole?
I pretty much left my home and went to work on an island, and I have nothing to do, so I was like, let's go back to the game.
I would say
Middle of nowhere, so you decided card game time?
Yeah, it's a good
We're happy
reason.
to have you back.
Enough.
I'm glad you've got some reception out there. That gives you something to do.
Yeah, it's nice. I got free internet, so I can't complain, I guess.
Yeah, better than our boy Iron Duke in mainland China with no connection whatsoever.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's why he's lost.
Yeah.
Kinda sucks.
Lost in the warp out there, and hopefully makes it back safe and sound at some point.
One of these days.
Yes. So we talked about the some player introductions. Have either of you guys played other digital card games, other regular card games?
I'll just repeat my answer from last time, except shorter. No, never.
Fair enough. I mean, I went in playing no card games either. I had a good time.
I have pretty much played a lot of card games like Hearthstone, Yu-Gi-Oh, Vanguard, a bunch of other randoms. Like I love playing card games pretty much.
Yeah, it's always good.
Yeah, I mean it's a different.
I need to play more card games.
There's a different mindset. And it's I'm not gonna say. I mean, this wasn't a planned segue, but just as we're talking, because I think yesterday and a couple days before on the Discord, for those of you who aren't aware, Chapter Master Valor is a YouTube streamer who was doing some Horus Heresy Legion streaming to hype the game, promote the game. I think yesterday he was showing off the new Rogaldorn alt art, and we were talking on the Discord a little bit, and there's a difference there sometimes where you've got people who play card games and the thought process in terms of how you look at a play and analyze the game and look at the cards And then you've got, some people, and it's he's just the most recent example, but there's been lots of players who have just played tabletop, really love Warhammer 40k tabletop, and they don't get the card game format, or they don't understand it, or they don't like it quite in the same way, because it's a different game. It really is. So it's always kind of interesting to see the differences, because sometimes you're watching somebody play, and it comes natural when you look at their cards and like, this is what I would do, and this is why I would do it. This is, you plan 1-2 moves ahead, and then you've got somebody else who they it's just not in their wheelhouse to do that. I couldn't watch. I mean, personally, I have nothing against Valric. He's a fellow Imperial Fist fan, and I appreciate that and his enthusiasm for Warhammer 40k. But I couldn't watch too much of him stream the game, because it was really, it felt. I mean, it's just like, hey, he's playing, but I can't. Every play he makes just makes me want to. Yeah, it was bad.
My biggest issue with watching was when the people would give him recommendations or advice. He'd go, "No, I know what I'm doing." No, you didn't, buddy. You did not.
Yeah.
I just need to segue it a little bit. Scuff, you are not just an Imperial Fist fan. You are nearly chanting Imperial Fist, Imperial Fist, Imperial Fist in the Discord. You're that big of a fan. You're not just a fan.
That's true. I mean,
I believe the term you're looking for is obsessed.
I won't say the
No, I'm not. I'm looking for a little bit more.
Ah, fair enough.
Sorry.
Fair enough.
I will.
No, that's completely
I
valid.
make the jokes.
I will defend I will defend the defenders of Terra. It's my, from, I won't say day one, but I mean really once I started getting into lore, that's the Legion I latched on to.
They're a cool Legion.
Yeah, but yeah, like I don't know if there's a formula for, like, some players like just gravitate to certain legions. Yeah, well, you've got Chaos, or you've got people who love Space Wolves, right?
I will straight out admit I have not really played a traitor warlord. I have always been maining an Imperial faction. First from the Imperials to Imperial households.
So I had to be forced to switch to Loyalists because I was just screwing around with only Chaos Warlords, and then eventually I got Vulcan and realized I have an entire Salamander collection, so I gotta.
That's a good one to go with.
And then the Vulcan buff.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was a while ago. I haven't played Vulcan since.
Oh.
Now I'm just playing Sanguinius and Logar. Birdman.
Those are both fun.
Logar is fun.
Yeah.
Hey, both load fun.
Logar is really, I mean...
He's still weak as all hell, but man, is he fun.
And when he goes off, that's what's nice. I've said it before, because even when they launched on day one, when he was not in the best spot, it was fun playing the Word Bearers. There was just something about there with the Demon Hosts and their effects.
Demon Host is a fun mechanic. It's it was very different at the time of their launch. Now that mutations are around, there's two that are similar.
Right.
They're still quite unique.
Yeah, and it just is. They've got some good stuff. Not overpowered stuff, but some good stuff. And then him getting tuned up, he's got some options. Then you throw in, new demons get added, and lo and behold, he can make demons in his Whispers form. And before you know it, you've got tables full of Khazdrax. So
yeah,
good
scary
stuff.
And nothing more fun when Luther's Altart coming out. Just run Destiny hand, 2 of them.
Yes.
Well, I recommend that in a normal Logar deck, but with how many Luthers are around.
That should be a given anyways. Like 2 Destiny's Hands with Logar. That's your.
They're so good.
Your win con half the time.
Because if you can trigger I believe it's 4 of them to get a very cheap Whisper.
I think 4 gets you at
4 energy.
Space 16 and it's -3, isn't it?
I think it's 0 for 5.
Yeah, 0 for 5.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's 4 energy for 4 of them, which is frankly amazing. And I mean, if you think about it, Elucer's ability, or that card, Heart of Caliban, drops 5 Jaegers. Spend 6 energy to get free Whispers.
Nope. Yeah, Lorgar just shows up at Caliban, and he just kind of, converts the planet.
Yeah, no one can stop him.
I think you mean reaffirms their faith, not converts them.
Of course.
Reaffirms their faith by turning them into chaos spawns. I agree. I support this notion.
That was Luther's plan all along. He's just so charismatic. Well, we kind of got off track a little bit, but we were talking about the mindset there between card game players. That's why I always kind of want to know if other people have played other games, like where they come from and what their background is. And that's always just kind of interesting to know, because I mean, there are, I think, quite a few people who come here just from the tabletop, or maybe they'll have caught the stream and they want to give the game a try, not having any idea how to play it or played other card games. And some of them tough it out, and others just get frustrated by it. So hopefully, if we run into any of those players, try to be somewhat encouraging, especially at this point in time with the way the game is and the community is. I mean, hopefully we've got a Q&A coming up next month that will be
we're due for one too.
We are due. That'll be announcing the next expansion, and that'll be always a good time. But the community, I mean, all the legions are out there. We're not seeing like a massive influx of players, so whenever we can get them, we'll take them.
Exactly.
Which we say after the Valrak incident.
Yeah, it was hard because I was watching. I was like, I don't know if more people are going to want to play the game after watching him play or not. I hate being negative, and I'm not trying to be like throw shade on Valrak, but I don't know if he did the game any favors with his stream.
No.
Stream.
It didn't help that majority of the stream wasn't even legions.
I think he needed to study a little bit more. Like, when you play that bad, it's not fun to watch. So.
Oh yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
Maybe also, and I wasn't here for the stream, but you mentioned this, not say no to advice.
Yeah, and there was another bad thing. He would not click on cards to read what they would do before playing them majority of the time.
He was generally surprised when a card did anything. Like, it was like, but you just hover over it, it'll tell you, like, oh, it's got Survivor 3, even it doesn't die. Like, it's got... I mean, you should just see the icon and know that
EG didn't make this game flawlessly, and we can all admit that. But they did make it really easy to figure out most things. I still have some gripes, like what does Erebus do? We all know what he does, but Erebus for a new player,
energy.
Yeah, or the powerful
his new player, his ability says nothing.
Fabius Bile, like there are some things that are kind of vague in terms of what the effects of them are, but common stuff in terms of like stealth and ward and secret
they've got
orders,
that down pat.
Like it's out there. You should be able to, not to say you should have the understanding, you should be able to see the understanding by just simply putting your mouse over the card and be like, oh, that's what that does, okay, and then log that away. But when you don't do that, and then you get like surprised that it's like, okay, anybody who's watching this who wants to play the game is like, I don't know if I mean, would they like it? Would they? I don't know. I'll tell you this, I haven't seen anybody join Discord who's like, hey, I saw Valrak playing and I'm really interested in this game. I'd like to see that, but I haven't.
To be fair, he was there for the paycheck.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And he got the Alt Art Dorn, which really irked me. Because it's like... it's just like, wait, because I wasn't watching the second stream, because the first day he was playing regular Dorn, and then someone was like, oh, he's got the Alt Art Dorn. I was like, wait, does he? I mean, I'm here. I'm just like standing. Like, what about me? Like, I can do it right now. I couldn't.
All I'm hearing from Scuff is, I want to do this. I want that card back. I want it now.
I was like, come on. Like, I could show it off. But, I mean, to be fair, like, Valrak's got, like, what? Over 2,000 subs? 147,000 subs? Damn.
Yep.
I
mean, the saying goes, even bad news is good news in the advertising world.
I've got like 890, so I mean,
you're moving up, bud.
I'm not going to reach the Valrak volume, but still.
What also helped is a lot of his viewers didn't already play the game, so the idea was converting new people.
That's true. And that's...
But after watching the match, I don't think that even happened. So...
yeah, I don't know. And the thing is, then I saw some people asking, like, what game is this? Or what is this? Is this a real thing? Granted, when you're streaming and you're trying to, do a game and then respond to chat, like, you're not going to catch everything. But he didn't really answer those questions or go into depth about those questions.
Well,
which would have been great.
Remember, this is the same guy who didn't know who Everguild was.
Yeah, I heard about that. I didn't see it, I heard about it.
Yeah, who's Everguild?
I hate to bring this back on track because I'm actually really enjoying listening to this, but let's go to the other terrifying group that Everguild had spawned, the Night Lords. The first warlord to get unstoppable was
Korax, wasn't he?
Yeah, Kabanda, I think. Oh, no,
Didn't
Korax.
Yeah,
Oh,
Korax.
you're right. Korax got it. And he was first expansion, wasn't he?
Yeah. Not
So-
base, but yeah, first.
I guess it is a balance change then.
Yeah.
Keep on forgetting Korax exists.
Yeah, most people do. I have not ran into him in a while. I ran into plenty of Shurikens. They're common enough. But, yeah, no. Actually, I'm pretty sure that's the only Raven Guard I've ever run into, like, on ladder. You don't really see much of the others. They're very niche.
Everyone. So, isn't it... Night Lord meta is basically just dump all the legendaries into your deck.
Yes, and right now, I don't know if anyone will disagree with this, but Malcarion's actually their best to take.
For the extra
Simply
card?
The extra card helps. The draw battle honor is nice, but it's mainly the idea of dropping Mercy and Forgiveness and then just double buffing stealth troops.
Good point.
He's actually doing quite well on ladder. I know a lot of people. I talked to some of the MC boys. They're running Sevatar and Malcarion primarily right now. The ones who are even touching Night Lords, which is still very little. They're not the best on the meta. One of the biggest problems they have going for them is how off meta they are.
I mean, that's an advantage and a disadvantage in many ways.
Yeah, but when the idea that the entire meta counters them is not really advantageous.
I mean, what's it? They specialize in high attack, low survivability troops with terror.
And controlling the enemy board in a meta where no one really cares.
I mean, I do, but that's because I play off meta myself.
Yeah.
I mean,
Curse can work. Curse tends to work the lower down you go, and then has a really hard drop off, I'd say.
I mean, Curse works lower down because he works primarily with stealth. He's very forgiving with his ability, and the fact that he's basically guaranteed to get his. Yeah. There is no way to stop it because it is a 10 turn. It's a 10 energy turn. Sorry, card.
He's a scary man.
He's a scary man, and then I mean, what's it? You've got. I've said it, but the key cards are the legendaries. Mercy and Forgiveness works great with Curse, also pretty good with Mordrim and Malcarion, not so good with Sevatar.
Yeah,
Nostromo
is fine, but...
Nostromo, unless the enemy has fast or flanking troops in hand, it's a great way to save a turn, and it's nice and cheap as well.
The Raven is obvious to finish it.
The Raven is a 9 energy 8/8 with fast. I don't think there's anything else to say about it.
Nope. And then Shek will snowball out of control if you let him, especially in a world where Fierce Onslaught exists.
Fierce Onslaught, Rule of Fear in the early game.
Yeah, especially if used against something like DOC. By the way, Seven, if you want to drop in at any time, just interrupt me. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I was just thinking a little bit, like about the meta you said.
Oh yeah.
The thing is, like, I don't think they're the counter Imperial Fist or right. I haven't played Night Lords, but I don't know if they can counter 100%.
No.
If they can do that also, like, then the other matchups are really hard for them.
I guess turret spam means that terror and maybe more importantly, stealth isn't really a problem.
Yeah. You'd think they would have a good matchup against Imperial Fist, and they kind of do, but it's still not that great. Stuff like Rule of Fear ruins their day.
Yeah, but the problem is I think Imperial Fist can rebuild the board, so it's like, okay, we lost a turn, but we have the next one.
So it's still not going great for him.
Yeah, but I haven't played them, so I'm not 100% sure. I'm just hero crafting.
I've tried to run them in like low Terra and push my way up, and it was miserable.
I mean, they've got some nice looking cards, but the cards don't pair that well.
Yeah, the issue is like Recon Claw is very good.
Recon Claw is a key card in the deck. Kappa mode looks like a better form of the turrets,
but at
the Imperial Fist turrets. But at the same time, it only works with the enemy attacks.
Yeah.
At which point, it's probably going to be the priority target.
Yeah, which then makes it essentially pointless. So you'll never see it.
Yeah, Chain Glaive
is such a nice troop.
Chain Glaive is good.
Very good. But the issue is, it doesn't work in their faction. I think their weakest legendary is Kura's Chosen.
It's debatable.
Nostromo gives you plenty of breathing room. Mercy and Forgiveness is an auto-include. The Raven is their finisher, so it's really tied between Shek and Kura's Chosen.
Shek very easily becomes a Sunk cost fallacy, where you want to build his attack up as much as possible.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And he's also, if you remove him early on, he's lost. Curse's Chosen, however, provides an immediate effect on the board, which can allow you to save your other troops.
I agree, but it's still just a 2 wide, which is good, but there's an asterisk there. A lot of the troops that can remove him are fairly easy to use, and the ones that don't, you can just hit him with a tactic. I feel like if he came in with flank, he could be too good, but he would be a lot better, which means their faction is carried by Recon Claw.
They could just add 1 more HP, so he will be harder to
Oh, yeah. He would be 10 times better, because the remove... Well, you know what I mean. In order to remove him, you would need an 8 attack troop instead of a 7 attack troop.
Mm-hmm.
That would actually increase the range by a lot. He's a nice body. I do like using him. To be honest, though, you include all their legendaries, because the first step of making a Curse deck, or most Night Lords, is fill in your first 10 cards of nothing but legendaries, and then you can start using cards.
I don't think that's just Curse. I mean, Curse especially because of his playstyle, but I think all the Night Lords, to some extent, I mean, want to plug in as much as they can put in there. And when it comes to the faction legendaries, especially.
Yeah, if you've ever seen a person post their Night Lord deck, you'll see almost all the cards are of gold quality. So, it's not healthy for the game whatsoever.
No, especially if you want to play I mean, I think the easiest warlord, like for generally every faction, like your starter warlord, you should be able to play, and then squeeze in some faction cards. Loken, Saul, Erlin. I mean,
Argel.
They all have a basic ability, and then you can throw in faction cards. You can throw in something else to support their ability. Modrum has got a very good ability, but that's it. And there's not a whole lot of neutrals that help support him or take advantage of that. So then you've got, other than splash damage stuff, artillery strike, informant network, defensive satellite, stuff like that, to add to his slashing. But to really make him effective, you want to be able to have, Mercy and Forgiveness, Nostromo for those clutch, lock the board down. Like I think he can make Shek work more just because, or even Curse is Chosen, because he can lock down some stuff on board. So then your opponent is forced to only respond via tactic or strong flank.
And Modron himself, with Mercy and Forgiveness, is a very, very potent thing, the lower you get.
Yeah. Because
that is hard to react to, because he's shutting down 2 things at once.
Yeah. Especially if there's just the opponent is just a warlord, like Angron or Jagathai. Mm-hmm. Like then it becomes
4 damage with no downside.
Yeah, then it becomes a race to who's got tactics, to throw out as well. But yeah, there's not a lot of other this common is good or this rare is good to add to it. You can, but I mean, really the good stuff is the epics and the legendaries.
Yeah, because I don't think they have any bad epics, and if they do, I can't think of them. The Recon Claw, great.
Vakuran is debatable.
Which one is that?
Vakuran, it's the 8 energy dreadnought.
Okay, yeah. He is interesting. If you can make him work, he's very fun, but yeah, he's very niche. I wouldn't call him great.
I don't like Curse of Foresight, but that's just me, and I know a lot of people play it.
Oh, yeah, including tactics, sure.
Yeah.
Curse of Foresight isn't great. I was thinking it was just epic troops. Their sneak attack are Dirty
perfect, though.
Oh yeah, Dirty Fighter, it's 2 energy, you're drawing a card, and you're gaining sneak attack on a faction that almost always has double hit.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Because even if you're not getting what you need from it, you're still getting to attack for 4 damage, assuming you have Mercy and Forgiveness.
And they've got the counterattack that gives, counterattack, or counterattack that gives sneak attack. So
they have so many ways to sneak.
They really do. I mean, but then they don't have a whole lot of stuff beyond that for their troops. Like, I think when they came out, obviously, they were in a different position. The game was in a different place. And maybe...
Yeah, it was a different meta.
I've only heard horror tales of the lack of anti-stealth.
Yeah, there was stealth at that time. Not as much, but I mean, Skitar Protector was in there, Former Network was around, Arcadius and stuff like that.
There was some, but not enough.
Oscar.
I don't remember. I remember Skitarii Protector being added to the game, and I joined after Night Lords were added, so I think that might be false recollection.
I think Skitarii Protectors were always in. We can check, actually. They have their... I can check right now, because they have their little,
Really?
watermark.
Oh, yeah.
What can
For anyone who doesn't know, just because we need to throw it out, if you look at the back of if you look at a card in the collection pool, you will see underneath the writing this little symbol.
That's the expansion.
That is the expansion symbol, which you can then match to the crate in the shop where you can buy it.
They also
and
have the one
hopefully get the
that's
card.
separated by expansion, but their website is outdated to all hell, and Iron Hands have not been updated on their website for the last 3 buffs.
Yeah. They tried to update it, I guess.
That's Prospero expansion. So it was the expansion afterwards.
Crazy. What was it then that came out?
It was the 6/4 speeder for the Raven Guard, I think. Oh god, no.
No, Skitarii Protector came out then.
Yeah, there was Skitarii Protector, there was Rotau, there was
Yeah,
Arcadius.
When we were saying Skitarii Protector, I think you guys assumed Scuff meant the 3 energy 2/2.
Oh, Keltas.
Yeah. See, that's a different
Oh, I
troop.
know. Yeah, that's a different troop, sorry.
Yeah, the second.
They're very
Peltas
similar with
were-
similar names. But
those came later, after Kurz. And they were good, but I mean, I think Night Lords kind of were, especially Kurz was like stealth, get to stealth and stick around, you know. And
I still don't own any protectors.
Yeah, well, it's a good rare. It's a good epic to get. So.
Yeah. He's solid.
But,
And it's a body that's going to remove stealth. That's always good, because even if you're not using him as a stealth hate, you got a 4/5.
Mm-hmm. With frontline.
Yeah, that's solid.
Yeah, I think the best thing that they could hope for was the fast troops, because they have situational fast troops. The 4/3s are nice, and then they've got 3 health, so typically they stay on the board.
They're nice, but they're not great. That's their biggest problem.
That's about it, right? I mean, and then you've got you could, earlier in the day, you had time. The game was a little bit slower, wasn't at such a aggressive pace. You could use Kurz's ability to, was it the 3/4 guys at stealth, and if they hit the warlord, they go back into stealth. Those
guys, those are fun. If they worked.
I would have games sometimes
Seekers.
where I would get them to stealth like 3 or 4 times, like a single unit. So you're getting like 12 attack damage with that one unit, because once they go back into stealth, your opponent doesn't have a way to break it. But the game moves faster than that now. So if you get them to go into stealth and come out of it an extra time, that's lucky. Feels lucky anyways.
Yeah.
So bit by bit over time, they've had I won't say their strengths, but the stuff that they relied on kind of whittled down, and you have 2 builds really emerge. You have the Kurz build, that goes to Apotheosis, which was a very powerful tool that he kind of gained, that breathed new life into him. And, get to Apotheosis 1, Apotheosis 2, and now you can have Korn's Favor and really hit a late game if you get to that. If you get to 10 energy, but he has to get to 10 energy. He can't do it before that. Or
That's a big if.
Yeah, or you have the situational, Modrum lockdown, which is not bad, but that can sometimes be pretty tight depending on how you're playing. I've had plenty of games where I played as Angron. I know some people like instant quit against Modrum, but if you play the game out and you get the right tactics and your stuff, you can still take Modrum out. It's a tough game.
Oh yeah.
But it's a good feeling, and that's possible too. But those are tight games. I don't see Sevatar, and I know some people have done some stuff with Malkarian. I had a fun time playing Malkarian.
I know a lot of people running Malkarian right now.
I like his battle honor. I like the fact that he's got that plus attack. It's a permanent buff. That does work. That puts up damage. And that draws focus away from him. But he's kind of undersung. Yeah, he's undersung compared to Kurz and Modrum though, and Modrum much more less than Kurz.
And both are still undersung in the high Terra meta.
Yes.
Their win rates never go above 50%.
No.
Sad.
And I think that's they like some other older warlords and decks are kind of stuck on one build, and I think Modrum is probably more likely to. You could build Modrum in a different way. It may not be as streamlined or as efficient, but you certainly can. Then that's the thing is like, why would you? Like, why would people do it? Like Kurz, like, you could build Kurz to not go to Apotheosis, but that's his kind of end game scenario. Why wouldn't you?
Why put yourself at a disadvantage on purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Besides fun. But if you're playing for fun, are you really grinding the High Terra meta?
No, you're doing what I do and just nerf the AI to oblivion and back.
Fair enough. I feel like you gotta. That's another thing. Kurz tends to win slower, so he doesn't perform higher up. Where people, you win like 3 points and you lose 30 points. You got to get fast matches. Got to win often. He doesn't do that. He just kind of dawdles the game on, and he'll win or lose. If anyone can speak about that, it's U7. High Terra match, top 50 match especially. They tend to be fast, yeah, right now.
To be fair, if you want to go for first place, fast games are the best choice. Because even if you lose, you can play in 10 minutes 3 more games and take them back. But even slow decks like, let's say Sandar that I play, he can climb. You just go a little bit slower.
It's still better to get them fast matches because, well, obviously more grind. I could never do it. I think we spoke about that just a little bit ago, but yeah, I could never do that grind for High Terra.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying to be fair. Like sometimes you just play and lose 14 points, 15, and you're like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Now I have to play with 4 more guys to get them back. You play 8 hours and you are like +2, and I'm like, I was playing for 8 hours. What the fuck?
It's a different environment, that's for certain.
Well, and especially now, I mean, we're getting to like with I mean, if you've played, you know, and you've taken a break 7, you've come back, and maybe there's cards to gain or gold to gain, or you know, I know some people play for the card back and for the glory, but the guys who played it a long time grinding, if they have everything, they have all the cards, they've got all the stuff. Like, there's no, you're putting yourself through an awful lot for what? Like, for recognition from 50 people? I don't know. I mean, props to everybody who does it, but especially at this stage it is, and some of the players do it, it's like, I don't know why sometimes. Yeah.
You got a fair point. I can speak for myself. I do it because I just enjoy the game like playing Santar. If he wasn't meta, I wouldn't play. Like 2 months ago, I used to play Custodes and Alpha Legion. I picked at 4K and I left it there because I couldn't climb and I didn't want to play something else. So if you enjoy the game and the meta, you will climb naturally, I think.
That's fair. I play for fun, so I tend to pick more off-meta warlords, hence why I play mainly Word Bearers. They got potential, but they don't do well.
Maybe one day that Word Bearers will be meta, you will be able to go to High Terra U2, you know.
Yeah, I guess that's a plan. Wait till they get very good and then start climbing.
Well, and if you enjoy what you're playing, that part plays part of it too. I mean, if they could be good, but if you don't like how they play, or like if Death Guard were to be awesome, top tier all of a sudden, they finally get this major revision, it's still Death Guard. Like, if they still plod and play, I mean, I have fun playing Typhon and winning with Typhon, but I can only do that like for 3 games. I couldn't do that for a whole season.
It'd probably be a lot more fun to play if the matches didn't take me 40 minutes.
True.
Because it is actually unbearable. And the worst part is I like the Death Guard on the tabletop. I think their lore is pretty neat. I can't stand them in this game. I started with Garo and I quit after a little bit because it was just slow matches, which is funny because Garo's so fast, but it still took forever.
Did you play the Vengeful Garo back in the day?
No, I didn't. I've only heard of them.
Yeah,
I missed out on some fun.
No, I wouldn't call it fun.
Well, it depends on your definition of fun.
Well, I'm talking with lore and the lore versus tabletop or playing for lore. I don't know. I mean, the Night Lords have a lot of interesting lore. It said that they were kind of a very lore interesting legion. I had a friend who played them on tabletop, and they're just Chaos Undivided on tabletop, or at least they were back in 3rd edition. And they could have like raptors as troops. I think it was their special thing. I don't know. Like, I think they have a lot of cool stuff that hinges around Kurz, as having the foresight, having going basically insane and crazy, and then they've got the macabre and the torture and the punishment. But very quickly they kind of drift into just run-of-the-mill chaos, evil, bad guys, and there's not a lot. I mean, the terror mechanic is their special thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's on.
Well, it's arguable if it's special for them.
Well, anymore. I mean, when it first came out.
They have majority of it. Like how you can still call Salamanders Survivor because they got so much of it.
It was on a lot of their cards, and it still is on a lot of their cards. But that's kind of all they've got. And, like, technically they have...
They got some stealth and some fast.
They've got stealth, but I mean, like, there's no playstyle beyond that, right? Like, you need to have Recon Talon. We talked about Recon Talon, getting that out so you can flank with your terror guys. Okay. Or you need to have stealth so you can hit with your terror guys. And terror only works on troops. So, like, that's it. That's all they do is they terrorize troops. And beyond that, there's not a lot of other stuff. Like, it doesn't feel like these guys are really just, like, demoralizing the enemy or, you're gaining something. Like, there are a couple units Kurz has chosen, it's cool. Shrek builds up strong, and you got, the finisher. Those are great cards. I don't know if they feel like they, like, just encapsulate the lore of the Legion as much, though. They just feel like these are just big, bad, scary guys, but they're really frail. That's really because at the heart, they break pretty easily.
Yeah.
So, I was not able to get my hand on any of the lore reading for these guys. The best I know about is some online wiki stuff, which Warhammer's got some pretty good stuff on that, but a lot of it's fanon. And the commonly known Nighthaunter part, where he effectively commits suicide by letting an assassin shoot him.
Mm.
We'll get to him. I think they've added the assassin to the game now. It's one of the.
She's a legendary card.
I thought she was the Agent of Sigilite Warlord. Iota.
Nope, Iota is the woman in charge about the assassination of Horus, and she dies on Dagonet, which takes place 2 years before the event of the that we're now.
I cede to the greater knowledge. I'm guessing it's Mishen then.
Yep, Mishen.
Okay. For anyone who's interested in that, she is broken. Doesn't matter though. There's nothing to symbolize this suicide part. There's nothing to show how crazy they are.
No, there isn't.
This is quintessentially an early design faction which has the one gimmick, like the World Eaters before they got their mini rework, who were just all about the attack. And it's funny because you've now got me on both of the factions that really need a lore update. Emperor's Children, who got their update, and Night Lords.
Yeah.
They need a lore-friendly update as much as they need a
The problem is
troop update.
terror as a mechanic is how they work. Table and like Unstoppable and Fear. A lot of the factions are based on what they play on 30k. Not too heavily, but enough. Which is they're similar, but terror doesn't work this way in 30k. So it's really boring that in 30k they're this army that just makes the enemy like unable to attack them through fear. And this it's just like, yeah, you can sometimes not hurt a troop. Or not get your troop hurt. That's cool.
I mean, some of them, like Reaper of Kaldrak, they do have give counterattack. Nostrama, give counterattack.
It's just not enough. They're all over the place and need like a complete change because they play like they want to be gym boss, like Angron does, but at the same time they play like you should use the troops, but neither are good.
So, just to mindstorm a random idea to try and fix them, take Nostrama or take a troop and change them to be a little bit like, I'm just pulling up the card now, sorry. That's Blood Angels, there they are. Malarus Squad, which gives, when put in play, a troop with drop pod, give 0+1 to the drop pod. Why not do something like that, but give can't attack to the enemy for the first turn?
Yeah. Or there should be something that if the troop has terror, do blank, or even give troops terror. Or even, they need better ways to give their current troops flank. Because the ones who do have flank aren't great, and the ones who get flank, or the ones who don't have flank, would be a lot better with them. Which is why Recon Claw exists. But Recon Claw is a troop that needs to stick to the board. And it's harder to stick to 1-3.
one phrase, they used to be survivable, especially with stealth. Nowadays, when you've got all of the anti-stealth in the game, and maybe more importantly, all of the indirect damage in the early stage of the game, they don't survive anymore.
Nope.
Even against the AI, I find mine dying in 2-3 turns sometimes.
Oh yeah, they will not last. Because Death Sats, which, while inconsistent, is in almost every deck for the wide. We'll just delete it. It's got a 50% chance to just make it not exist anymore.
Just over 50, but just under 50, but yeah.
Well, you know what I mean. It's 4 damage and 3 damage, and it's got to do it for 3 or 4. That's half of it. Half of the damage rolls will kill it. It's not doing too hot. And it really shows that they balance the entire faction around Recon Claw. Because you can look at any other troops and go, man, I wish this had flank.
Yeah, if Recon Claw is stuck on a routine basis, and there are sometimes those are games like, oh man, I can't get rid of it. I don't have anti-stealth, or it sticks around, or the random damage doesn't hit it. And then that's not so great. But if you build a deck and you put Recon Claw in, there's a couple cards that you can't put in because they want to be, if you don't control a troop when you play it. So then you don't gain the benefit. It's so disjointed. It's one of those things where it's like if they, I don't know if they tried design it with several different things in mind, or they designed that intentionally so that you wouldn't play certain cards together. But that really shouldn't be the case when it comes to a Legion card pool at the very least.
The faction seems like it was made by several people who weren't communicating. Which is honestly one of the worst things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have no central focus, and I think that hurts them a lot.
Well, they do, and that's just deal damage to the wall and hope they don't play any cards, but...
Well, that's every faction. When the central focus, it doesn't know if it wants to be the Unstoppable faction, the Fear faction, the Solo Warlord faction, the Troop faction, and it shows that's not great.
And
not great at all.
So many of their low-cost troops, their 2 through basically 4 drops, are not great, are low health, have a terrible rally effect. They're not even they're not
situational
even,
fast.
They're situational at best. If anything, what they are is they're troops that you don't want to get from Mount Pharos, even at a free discount.
I don't think even an event I ever saw the 2 or 3 energy troops played other than Recon Claw.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have the 3-2 with Terror that's decent.
The flanker.
I will use him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cordrago.
He will at least delete something.
Condraya, something like that.
If I can get rid of Jubok as the minute it drops, I'm happy. So I like those guys.
It wouldn't be bad if he had Battle Honor gain +1 health.
Yeah, become a 3-3, because then they'll at least stick around. That'd be nice. Maybe give them more Battle Honor about...
Yeah, Battle Honor, I think.
I feel like the best thing they can do... I feel like the best thing they can do is do what they did to Survivor, where they just change a little bit of the Survivor mechanic to now synergize better with the faction. If Fear procs do blame.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I meant. I meant Sacrifice, but I said Survivor 4 times. Where they just change its trigger a little bit, where it will somehow help the troop out in the long run. Give it something nice for doing a successful Terror. Make Terror like its own version of Battle Honor, but only if you kill something weaker than you. It could be fun, but, we don't live in a world where that's happening. Night Lords are an odd one, because not a lot of people play them, for obvious reasons.
First thing I did when I got told we're doing Night Lords was go and ask Scufflenome, Chaos Brainiac.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Chaotic. For his advice, because he's the Night Lord player that I know. And I haven't been reading word from what his list, but the list he gave me is pretty comprehensive and pretty accurate from someone who's played him for a while.
Fair enough. I've tried to play him. It never goes well.
So, like the Emperor's Children podcast, I did try to play Night Lords early on into my career, is the wrong word. Lifetime as a Horus Heresy Legions player. I mained Flaymaster before he had his rework and before I got Garrow as my pick of choice for a while. But this faction, we've been talking about the cards and stuff, and I think Seven mentioned it. You need to feel them to make it work. and even then, it's feeling the most fighting up a hill.
Yeah, I think it's an easy fix to just make the troops have normal stats, like they're all they're statted. Like
they're statted low.
Energy 5-4.
I mean, they were statted normal for their time, but now the meta's
Well,
changed.
their time was they were understated on purpose, but based on the fact that I feel like the devs thought of Terror as a lot better than they thought it was. Because Terror's good, but we live in a world where First Strike is a thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
First
First Strike came out after Terror, and it was basically like that's a better version. I mean, if you have to rank the three things: Sneak Attack, First Strike, and Terror, in that order.
It'd go Sneak
First
Attack,
Strike, and Third.
First Strike.
Yeah.
It's arguably I wish Terror was good. I really do.
And I think the fact we've been talking about 2 or 3 points repetitively now says everything there is to be said about the Night Lords. They're a card-dependent faction, they're a situation-dependent faction, and you need to like them to play them.
Yeah. Gotta go in being a Night Lord fan, because I went in as someone who was like, Night Lords are neat, but I wasn't a big enough fan to go, you know what, I'll stick to them. Nah, couldn't do it. I was not a big enough fan to go up the constant uphill climb that is playing Night Lords.
Yeah, I'm really hopeful. I mean,
people make them work. I don't know how.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that the opinions here that we've got today, that we're reiterating, that we're cycling on. I mean, that doesn't last forever. That maybe within a week or two of this episode, maybe. I mean, that's really hopeful. But I mean, at the same time, I feel like that's probably when we'll get a October patch from Everguild, and October is the spooky month. You know, so it just seems like it. And the fact that they went back recently and redid the salamanders, and before that the Iron Hands, feels like okay, maybe they can circle. Maybe they are going to circle back around to some of those older legions. I still think that the Space Wolves and Custodes need a revamp a little bit.
Custodes definitely needed one in a world where their troops used to be overstated, but now aren't.
Right.
Because of factions like Blood Angels.
Yeah. And I mean, that they're on the list, but I mean, Night Lords probably, if I had to count card by card, they probably have the most cards in their card pool that just feel like, why? Like the 3/1 Terror. It doesn't have flank.
There's no reason for his existence unless he had flank.
He's not unstoppable. He doesn't have stealth. It's so bad. I mean, with that being said, I don't know if you guys want to go around to talk about what your favorite Night Lords card is. If you have to pick one, what would you say is your favorite Night Lords card? And your least favorite?
Mercy and Forgiveness, and then any of their commons. No, their turret. The Ka something. Its name is escaping me.
Copper mode.
He's neat on paper. You'll never use him.
I'm gonna be lazy. There's 2 or 3 that I really like, but they're the gold mine. They're the nuggets of true gold in a false gold mine. So I'm actually gonna go way out of left field and say a talent for murder. Change the health of the troop to 1 and give it counterattack. It is probably the one useful common card they have.
Yeah, that disagreement is situational, but it's still very good heal. It's just if only you would actually use most troop. I do if it's got 1 HP, but the issue is their troops already have low enough HP where that's not going to happen. It's usually going to die in its attack.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or you want it to stick. They don't have troops that you can just afford to lose.
That card... Trophies of Judgment. 1 energy, give -2/0 to an enemy troop until your next turn.
Yeah, that's pretty useless.
I mean, it works in a Terror faction, but it doesn't do enough.
It should at least have draw card attached to it. That could make it used. Could.
Deal to everyone and add 1 energy to it. You can combo it with a Rule of Fear for a sort of baby defense satellites. Yeah. But
that could be useful. Another thing that needs to be done is I just completely remembered the card. The one that deals 1 wide, but for every additional troop you have, it adds 1 more. Just make it 2 wide by default, and then 1 additional. Punitive, there it is. Because then by default, that's 2 wide, have 2 troops, 3 wide. That would help it significantly, because you'll never see that card. just worse death sets or Rain of Fire.
I sincerely hope Everguild is listening to us because we've basically done most of the work they needed for their rework of this faction if they ever get around to it.
I don't think this is going to happen.
No, I mean,
We're asking for too much.
No, I can hope.
Man can dream, can he?
It's not even for me; it's for friends. But I can hope.
Yeah, I would like to be able to play them and not hate myself.
How about you, Seven?
Up to you, Seven. What's your favorite?
I was gonna say Nighthaunter, to be fair, because I thought he was really cool. And the worst one, I was gonna say Untitled Squad, because when I started playing the game, I thought that card was really good, like 2/3, and give -2 to the enemy warlord. So I just played it all the time, but it's
But then you realize it's not that great.
it kinda sucks.
Yeah, it's sad. Such a shame too, because like a lot of their troops are neat. They're not good.
No, and
Won't catch me ever playing them.
they're all really low on health. Like, some of them got some nice attack, but you don't see them hit 5 health until like support talent has got 5 health, and that's at 5 energy, and then at the 6 energy mark you get Night Scythes. And then that's when you start to see 5 health. But up until that point, everything has got 4 or 3 or 2 or 1. It's so bad. My favorite, I like Nostromo. I think it's just an awesome lock effect that buys you time. It draws a card. Like when Nostromo came out, Nostromo was the first like Legion Planet card that felt like the Legion Planet. And I'm actually surprised we don't have a Sithonia or the other ones for the World Eaters and for Barbarous.
The fact that Callus isn't a card blows my mind.
It's kind of interesting, just as a sidebar, but I really like Nostromo. My least favorite, I would say, is 10th Oath, which is the 2 for 2/2 that has terror, and then as a rally gives -2 to an enemy troop this turn. Yeah. So it doesn't even like it's a terrible stat. It doesn't do anything to the Warlord. Affects a troop, but then that's it. Like it doesn't. A flank it doesn't even last on their next turn. It's a really close. It's a close toss up between that and the 3/1 for 1 energy. But the fact that 10th Oath is a rare is just kind of the extras. Like for a rare, it should have 3 health. If you at the very least, if you give me the same ability, give me 3 health and I'll keep it. But it doesn't. So,
or at least make it last until the start of your next turn, and fuck it, make it work on units.
Make it work on units, and then I'd be like, okay, that's a decent rare. It's a decent rare.
Yeah. But you could use it on some of the like Karn gets shut down by that. Yeah. That'd be nice. Shut him down for a turn.
Yeah,
shutting down Karn would be great
for 1 turn.
Any card that shuts down Karn.
So like between that and the can attacks that you could throw in the deck, like the aggro, the mono warlords, which are sometimes problematic for some of the warlords in their matchups, like that's a clutch card. Just like that, boom. What? We could spend a whole hour and a half doing these card by card, and then just
we mostly have.
And I think there's probably like 2 or 3 that we haven't talked about that are worth it. Like I don't know, Night Attack. Give stealth to your troops until your next turn.
It's a decent card, but
it's like meh.
The one I dislike the most is Deep Strike, as it's amazing ability.
Yeah, too much energy.
For too much energy, and then on top of that, you're like, they should already have flank, or flank doesn't do me good because it's flank. It's not.
It should be a Hermia style card where it's a warlord effect when they play a troop.
Yeah. Right.
Or it should be troops but unstoppable, gain flank.
And ultimately, why play Deep Strike if you could play Recon Talent? Big rare
Recon
gap
Claw
there. Recon Claw. It's a big gap there, but there's like one card that clearly does it better for less energy consistently. I saw that card and I was like, oh, Deep Strike, because Deep Strike is a thing. It's a 40k thing. It's been around forever. And no,
that reminds me, you weren't here at the time, Scuff, but I was talking about how Nighthaunter should have Unstoppable because his model does, and it doesn't make sense for me that he doesn't. He has a jetpack. No one talks about it, but Kurz can fly, and I like the fact that he can.
Yeah, didn't it get destroyed like early on.
It did, but we have to look at the legions at their peak when it comes to cards, because otherwise, Magnus still has boys who aren't dust.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, by the time... Okay, I mean, Curse came out in Exterminations, which is Istvan 5, which is when he still had the jetpack.
Yeah.
But in the books, the most book time, screen time that Curse gets is after that. When he's, like, engaged with
but
the
most
Lion,
factions
he's
are
on
based off of
Ultra
their
stuff.
30k rule set,
Right,
or at least...
yeah.
And he has a jetpack. So I'm asking, give Nighthaunter a jetpack and give him some more threatening je ne sais quoi to him. Because in his current form, you just put something big enough and he'll fuck off for a bit.
It does make it hard when you
I
throw
like
a big, large frontline unit in front of him and he's already used his talent for murders. Yeah.
Yeah, because then he's just going to sit there and look at it funny. Sad day for him. Kurz is so interesting character-wise in this game, but he's so...
Every day is a sad day for Kurz. Kurz is one of those Primarchs. I think, I still, in terms of, like, Primarchs I think are amazing characters. I think most of the Trader Primarchs probably have the best characters to them because they've got some great backstory, and he's up there. I think, with the Gift of Foresight, the whole classic, tragic, like, fulfilling your own prophecy and going mad...
Trust me, Scuff, you don't know how ready I am to talk about Logar and his stuff.
Oh, yeah.
When we get to War Bears.
Yeah. He's up there, too. Like, him and Mortarion, like, those guys are just... They've got a lot of cool...
Got a bad hand.
...story to them, and there's a reason why they were the way they were, and Kurz, his mindset and the things that he did before he was found by the Emperor, and then after he's found by the Emperor, and everything all the way up into his death because he had to do it. I didn't get a chance to read the story just yet. I know it's out there in print. I think it's in the Sanguinius book or something. Sanguinius is, has the opportunity to take him before the Emperor. I think it was to, basically like, bring him before the Emperor and change his fate or whatever it was so that he wouldn't die at the hands. And he's like, nah, that's your punishment, like, for everything you've done. We could change it, but I'm not going to let that happen or something. I don't know if I'm probably paraphrasing that too terribly, but like,
it's good enough paraphrasing.
Yeah, at that point, he's pretty far deep in. One of the books that I read, because he's always an interesting character, but I think the one book that he really shined in was Angels of Caliban, and that's partly because everybody else in that book was written so terribly. Honestly, everybody in that book was just such a cliche. It felt like it was a phoned-in entry, but Kurz had some good scenes in there. That's basically when Lion and Kurz had their final duel, and he finally gets brought in for trial and all that stuff, and he has this moment in court on McCrag. Yeah, and it was good. It was good. It didn't paint him in a good light. It just was basically like, here's a guy who's clearly gone mad and insane with his brothers, and he feels like he's got a reason. And also, I'm tired of reading all these cliched versions of Gilliman and Sanguinius. Like, Sanguinius just cries and weeps on the throne in that book. Gilliman is running around like, oh no, why did you do that? What do we do? And then Lion is just being a jerk. And then it's just bad. It's not great. It's not my worst book, but it's not a great book. But it's important because that book kind of wraps up the Unremembered Empire arc, as it were.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kurz is a good character. You just don't see him much.
That character isn't brought over at all in the game, though. It's not. I don't believe the character comes over at all in the game. In the game, he is purely the guy who you're going to hate as soon as he gets to turn 10 if you don't have anti-stealth.
Again, though, the Legions tend to play like their tabletop counterparts, so I guess they're going for it.
There's a difference between playing like the tabletop counterparts and playing a bit like the lore. I mean, Soul Torvitz, I don't believe, decreases the points of the troops you're bringing with you.
No, but neither does Soul Torvitz really fit as the lore. He was a duelist who was also kind of smart. I don't see how that.
Tarvitz, your next card costs this turn costs 1/0, preempting the heresy has always been my understanding of it.
I feel like if we look into cards like that too much, it starts to fall apart quickly. Because you can find comparisons, but you can find a lot that just don't fit either.
That's fair.
The type of thing where you can draw parallels, but eventually you'll run into a scenario where the parallels start to make no sense.
I think we're already past that line, to be honest.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So
You'll never understand some factions' playstyle. Sorry, Seven?
So which one is your favorite book about?
The Night Lords?
Yeah.
It's not even he's not even the focus in this one, or the faction, but it's the one where Vulcan is just being tortured over and over again by Kurz. Which one is that? Oh, I can't remember. All I remember is he
I think that's
takes Nementor's body
Vulcan
and like
Lives.
strings it up.
No,
Vulcan Lives.
It's either Vulcan Lives
Was
or
it?
it's Unremembered Empire, and that's where Vulcan.
No, I think it was Vulcan.
It was one of those two. 'Cause
It was.
Unremembered Empire is like, I think, when Vulcan escapes and crashes
Yeah.
on McCraig, but I think prior to that,
And starts just fucking people's stuff up.
yeah, Vulcan Lives, I think, is the. I could be wrong. It's one of those two.
All I remember about that is, besides the book was not great. It was a weak one. But I love the mental image of him grabbing Nementor's body from Ishvan 5 after all that shit went down, just to fuck with him a little bit more. And I love Vulcan. It was still just a really funny image to me. That's not a great book. Sad. He does murder Vulcan with a spoon, though. Or like a fork or something. Occurs. Never change.
How about
He
you, Sam?
probably won't.
Do you have a
Nope.
favorite Night Lords book?
I have never read the book, to be fair.
You've never read a Horus Heresy book?
Never. I just
Now-
played the game.
I may or may not know where you can get all of them. In English, though. So if you don't mind reading books in English.
Yeah, if you have a suggestion, I don't mind.
Alright, I give her a quick second, and I will 100% legally give you every single 40k Horus Heresy book.
40k Horus Heresy is a contradiction. I just
yes
need to
and no,
point that
40k
out
is a
because I need
brand.
my laughs. Yes, but 30k is also a brand now.
Actually, no. They're still just
Yeah.
labeled as Horus Heresy Forge World. They're labeled as 40k Horus Heresy Forge World.
Are they?
Yeah,
I thought they
40
got rebranded as of last year or something.
30k is what the time period is, and you can call them that, and that's what the tabletop is referred to. But they're still 40k because 40k is a subdivision of Horus Heresy, or not Horus Heresy of 40k. Or Warhammer. Sorry, I just drew like 8 blanks because I'm pulling up my sources for the thing, and I just started repeating the same words. I do that sometimes. But yeah, 40k is a division of Warhammer, and 30k is a division of 40k. So if you can go up the Venn diagram enough, you can just use one word.
Okay.
That ended up mindless rambling because I was looking for my source.
Sometimes that happens.
And I found it. I do that sometimes. Here you go. You can have it too, Lucarionape.
Cheers.
That's all the HH books. They're EPUB files, or EDUB, or whatever they're called, so you'll need something to open them.
Does Scuff need to cut this out for legal purposes?
Nah, I do this like every time we get a guest on. If they want books,
I know
they got
you
books.
shout it out, but at the same time, sharing the link
Yeah.
is different from
Well,
Laura's
yeah,
point of view.
you know, like I'm not going to say the website, but if you want to go, if you need that information, you might want to talk to a
Hit up.
pirate crab, and
Yarhart.
he'll hook you up.
I have had people ask me after episodes to hit them up, and I have. So, putting that there, folks. If you need books, I know where to get them.
See, people don't ever tell me to hit them up anymore, but that's because they get hurt afterwards.
That's also a valid option. If you just start assaulting people in the street, that's apparently a no-no.
No, not even a pat on the back is allowed anymore.
Well, we do live in a world where COVID.
Well,
Sadly.
even before COVID, unfortunately.
Yeah. That day. COVID did help 40k in general, though. The people playing 40k shot up exponentially.
Well, it helped Legions too. We've talked to a few players who started playing the
They were
game
like,
because of
Boarding
COVID.
cord?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's always
you know
good.
What we
No,
need? We
that's
need more
good.
pandemics. Let's go. Let's get that
You're
pandemic
right.
going. Let's get more.
Let's get
Legions
Nurgle
players.
up in here.
Come on, baby.
Don't
More
say
pandemics
that.
never go wrong.
No, it's a joke.
I know, but
Now.
Murphy's listening.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we got 7 over here on an island, so he's got nothing better to do.
Yeah, we've got
I mean,
some,
if you're
we've got
ice-
some interesting. Like
that's
sometimes you just got nothing else to do. The Legions is the ticket.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bad.
It's nice and free.
It is
Any
free.
game that's free that doesn't feel pay to win is nice.
Yeah, Yep. Although
Well,
get every single thing.
I mean, by the time this
The number
episode
of-
comes out, the deal will be over. But I was saying earlier today on Discord, I woke up, I saw the Dorn is in the shop, the alt art Dorn, and also looking at the deck that he had, and Ahmed, the legendary for the Imperial Fist, is in the shop as well. It's like, man, like if you want to start up, like if you want to pay cash, pay $20 for the faction. Dorn's deck comes with Fortified Outpost, it comes with Stalwart Defenders, it comes with Defenders of Terra, it comes with a Primarch, and then you spend like 1,600 gems and get a legendary, you'd be off to the races. And for $20, like, I don't know, because I haven't looked at all of the Primarch decks, but I don't know if there's ever been like a really like just I want to say aligned sale when it's like, oh, here's an alt art Primarch, and by the way, the card in the shop and the deck is everything that you're really going to want to play this faction.
I guess the Hammer and Ferris would be the last one.
Yeah.
That was also when the Hammer got its change.
The first time or the second time?
When the Hammer hit the Warlord now.
Okay.
Ferris was in it with him.
Yeah, and I'm
with
not,
it.
I'm
If I
not sure
remember
what Ferris's deck, if it had like Tarek Squad or
I think it might have, but I don't remember.
know.
I didn't grab it because that alt art offends me.
Yeah, that's a good reason to stay away from alt arts. Like when you have bad ones,
I feel like it offends most people, though.
it offends the
My biggest
artist.
issue was that they gave him eyes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think his it's a hard call. I think it's a tough call between Ferris Manus and Perturabo alt art as being the worst alt arts in the game.
Perturabo's at least got good voice lines.
It's 20 euros for that art, my friend. The
Oh,
voice
it's-
lines don't save anything.
Yeah, you're right. For me, it's 30 Canadian. It hurts.
I don't know if I'm the only one here. I'm quite happy with not paying for this game. I enjoy it.
I don't need to spend a
It's-
dime, and I'm happy.
A good game, but what they offer is really it's to keep the lights going. I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
not enough. I don't support the idea of selling a DLC faction or a paywalled faction. I see enough of that from Creative Assembly and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I understand that to keep the lights going, if they're doing purely aesthetic, they're going the higher price.
Mhm.
But it's a little bit too high for me. If it was £5, maybe. It's not though.
I would agree. Like, I mean,
Yes.
every legendary, and it's not just every legendary, because any alt art, like even if they're an epic warlord, it's the $19.99, the $20 price point, and that
Karn
seems,
is good.
I mean, they put a legendary in the deck, but basically what they're saying is legendary $20, regardless of what
Canadian
legendary
word
it is.
30.
Yeah, and
I'm going to complain about that real quick. Conversion would put it at 25, but for some reason I still pay 30. Why, EG? Explain to me.
Apple Store, probably.
that could
Apple
not
Store
even
and the
Apple.
conversion thing.
Like every way you can buy it, Steam, Google Store, it's all the same price.
No, then
Doesn't
sue
need
them
to be
for
that way.
false identification of a price. Easy, open shut, close shut case.
You could, but it doesn't work that easily, sadly. I'll accept it and go and pay for it. The only alt art I bought was Sanguinius. Simply because I really like his voice lines, and the fact that his wings perfectly line up makes me beautiful.
yeah, it's very aesthetic. It looks good. It looks good on the board.
Yeah. It's pleasing.
Well,
And I miss Logars barely, and that broke my heart.
Speaking of alt arts, because of the timing of when this episode will air, we have it on good faith, good terms, that Janisha Kroll will be the next alt art. I don't know if that's going to be this coming weekend or the next weekend, but they are rolling her out really fast. And we were talking before we started the recording. It's really interesting how Dorn and Kroll are popping out. We probably at this point we could see Malkador as well. Like, this is the most recent faction with warlords and alt arts in the shop at a much faster rate than any of the other expansions ever were. Like, the first alt art was Angron, if I remember correctly, and that was like a year into the game. It was like the first Summer of Skulls. And then they gradually trickled in. Or, it might have been Vulcan. It could have been Vulcan, might have been the first alt art. I could be wrong. Vulcan, Mortarion, or Angron those were like in the early 3, but they came at such like wide intervals. It was such a rare thing. And now it's like every other weekend. And it's cool that they're rotating ones that have been here before for newer players that might come in and want to do that, whether they pay for the cash or not. The option is there. But like we still don't have a Castus from the Night Houses, which is an alt art that
Terse will complain forever.
Yeah, which is the set that came out prior to this, and here we are. We're getting, the set isn't even done. Like we're still getting new cards added to it via the event, and we've got alt arts for the Warlords. So, I don't know. I don't know if that portends anything, or if that's just like kind of at this point they can, so they do.
It feels like it will sell better.
Yeah. No, you make a good point. It's whatever gets them more money.
Yeah.
All the recent factions.
Yeah.
All the recent factions have been top meta for a while.
Yeah. Well, Imperial Fists weren't until Diaz came around. Diaz definitely did it.
Well, it's definitely like at this point they're like, hey, we've got alt art, Mortarion in the shop now. No, you don't want that? How about alt art Ferrus Manus? No, not working for you. How about alt art Magnus? Right, we heard he was good. He was. Like, yeah, there's a lot that have dropped off. So yeah, so there's probably that proximity. Like someone probably did some numbers of like, you know what? If we sell these guys that are more recent, people are going to buy, because especially the players who have, even long-term players might not still have these Primarchs. So
yeah,
they might be more keen for that.
We can dream.
I mean, the easy way to find it, I don't remember where it was, but someone managed to find the published figures of EG before they got bought up. I don't know if they're still doing it after they got bought. But if they still publish those figures, we could find out if the income spiked with the new factions, and if they believe that the new factions are an easier money pool.
I don't know. Yeah, because like Kabanda had an alt art in the middle of the Malevolence expansion because of the Summer of Skulls, Skulls for the Skull Throne. But Jagatai and Sanguinius, it took 2 expansions later before they had their alt arts available. So, yeah, I don't know. It'd be kind of interesting to see. Interesting to see those numbers. I don't know if they would readily share that information if we can't find it elsewhere.
I mean, it's disclosed under lore, a lot of the cases. Lore? Law. That certain figures must be disclosed to public traded companies. Well, it is written in a book somewhere, or on a scroll. But,
on a scroll, buried in a tunnel, in an island, deep under sea.
7, we got you on the job.
Yeah. Sorry,
it's your job.
No worries, buddy. The only way I'm staying awake is by being energetic.
Well, yeah, we are getting into the for you guys. It's early. Like so late.
Quarter past 5 for 7.
Yeah.
What time is it right now for you, 7?
6 in the morning.
Oh, it is late.
You're 2 hours, not 1. I keep on forgetting that.
Well, I guess a lot late and really early. Well, good morning to you, I guess.
To be fair, it makes sense to release the newer cards, because a lot of people won't have them. Like if they put Mortarion, everyone has Mortarion pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, okay,
no,
I don't really mind. Like, I
only just got Kroll.
I love Kroll.
Well, I
play Kroll? No.
It's a good option for folks, especially when they heard that, hey, this Warlord was really good. Whether they still are or aren't, they might be a little bit more prone to pick it up. Or at the very least, if they've got the 1,600 gems, they can get the Warlord without spending cash. I am glad that every guild does that, because if they...
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Best part.
Have to shout them out for that.
Yeah, Exactly. If they always had the Warlord deal for cash, and they never gave us Warlords in the shop for gems, That would definitely rub me wrong. Like, that would just be like, really?
The only exception I can think of is when what's his name came rolling around. Kabunda's first time, he wasn't in shop normal
Which is
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, that was a special.
because he just dropped. Yeah.
But I'm also pretty sure that he is the only time we'll see that, I think.
Yeah, I'm
Right,
pretty sure.
Because
Yeah,
I think the backlash from the community, even if it was planned to be one time only, I heard a lot of backlash in my circles.
because
I haven't heard much. I didn't hear much backlash. It was just people went, "Oh, really, guys?" But it wasn't really like they done us wrong. It was just,
no, there's a lot
it
of people
happened.
who were certain, like, okay, well, Cabana's coming, and then it didn't happen, so they passed on the deal because the deal was only for like 2 days. They passed on the deal thinking he was coming, and he didn't come.
Oh, that's bad.
This year, Goreborn was in the shop within the same time, like not the day of, but I think it was like this day 2 or day 3. Like, so he popped up and he was available, which was fine, because he was the summer of the Skulls for the Skull Throne Warlord this year around. So I mean, there is some indication that they realized the may try to make some correction to that, but yeah. I am grateful that they at least do that, so you don't have to spend cash if you've got the gems, and if you don't have the gems, you have the option to spend the cash, or you can completely pass if it's a warlord or art that you don't like or need.
In fact, that's how I got Logar for the first time. I was not drawing them from crates for the life of me. Boom, they hand them to me. I'm not going to complain.
And I feel like, I mean, talking about art, and we're supposed to be talking about Night Lords, but we kind of wrapped that up. But I mean, Kurz's alt art is one of the good ones. I will mention
it is worth it alone for the art, and the voice lines combined are perfect, and the card back is amazing.
Yeah.
If only he was good and fun to play.
Well, we can hope. Or do we want to hope? I don't know. Okay,
Just a
quick poll. We've talked about how they're bad. How about how the Night Lords are not great? But do you want to see them good and dominating? I don't. Personally.
That's
I don't.
the EG threshold. You can't make them good without making them broken, is EG's method. There's a few exceptions. Like, I don't think salamanders are broken right now. Impressive, but not broken. Maybe a couple of changes here and there. Maybe devotion shouldn't be as much of an annoyance, but
Jumped from C to A, I think.
yeah, it was a big jump, which I think a lot of people are still like getting used to. I feel like if they try to buff Night Lords, they'll do it wrong, and they'll move from D to an S instantly, and it's going to be miserable. But we'll see. Maybe I could be wrong.
I will say that after the Vulcan changes, I believe in G. All right, it was good. It was fun. It wasn't OP. So
yeah, I gotta give them credit where credit's due. That was a really good change. Sacrifice got a change that on paper no one thought of. Really, no one was saying that, but it made sense, and it wasn't big enough to like shake up the entire meta. But it's good enough now where you can do fun combos. Like, one of my favorite things is with Ashen Circle executing one of the sacrifice cultists. Boom, I get instant value. I'm happy.
I hadn't thought about that. It does make
You can do that with Curse of Thed, and then you can find a way to kill Curse of Thed, either through Destiny handing him or something of the like. Yeah, fun. You were saying something though, Seven.
Yeah, it is fun to play. Like, Vulcan is fun to play against and to play with. So I enjoy. That's all.
Yeah, no, they did good. I have hope in EG's balancing now that all the factions are out and they can look at it. Thousand Suns, well, on paper made them healthier. They're still not performing great, so they still need to be looked at. Besides that,
I just don't want to play against Night Lords. I mean, I just don't like them.
Yeah.
That's just me. I mean, it's not even a game preference. Like, there's nothing wrong with Can Attack and Terror. I just don't want to see Night Lords. I
don't blame you.
Is it the stealth mechanic?
No, it's
the curse.
Yeah, it's just them being, creepy terror guys. Like, I just don't like, like they get the torture and the macabre. Like, I wouldn't want to fight alongside them if I was in a 30k Legion. Like, you can totally. I have that revulsion. Like, just like, like, how were you not? How was your Legion not disbanded. Well, because they did a really good job. Like, that's the one thing that I think is so funny about it, is that, like, the Emperor didn't get rid of them because they were doing a pretty good job of bringing planets into compliance, whether it was, under good terms or not. It's like, interesting. So this Hive City doesn't want to comply, huh? Have they seen the other Hive City where we skinned everybody and hung their skin, outside the windows? Oh, they did.
Wasn't one of the key parts of their offensive strategy to keep all the radios unblocked?
Yeah.
And to turn them all louder?
Yeah, turn them up so you could hear the screams and, like, the terror. Like, I mean, their terror tactics wasn't just like, hey, grisly trophies. It was like, we're coming.
We'll skin you in front of your family, and then we'll skin the family as well.
You'll hear it, and you'll see it, and you'll.
I feel like a lot of the factions were
for forgiveness.
They're really set up in a way, lore-wise, where it's like, oh, these guys, the minute Emperor's done, he has to get rid of most of them. Like World Eaters, even before they had the nails put in their head, what would they do? They would just drop in the middle of a city center, and if you weren't part of the Imperium, you were a red paste on the floor.
I mean, from what we've understood of the Custodies, which is debatable considering how poorly some of the Custodies have been written, and also on the retroactive perspective, a lot of Custodies, as much as the lore might like to pretend, has been given. The plan was to purge at least some of the legions.
Oh, 100%.
And that already happened for was it the 3rd Legion in the 18th?
Is it second?
Second and 11th, maybe.
Yeah, 2nd and 11th.
Yeah.
Well, one was the Forgotten.
We don't know, though. One of them's the Forgotten, the other's the Damned.
Yeah, so one fucked up and had to be erased. And the other
was Lehman who did it.
No, that's actually not true.
Is it not?
Lehman has not killed another Primarch. No, he has fought them. He was referring to Angron.
Oh, okay.
He has not spilt every time he says he spilt the blood of a Primarch, he refers to Angron. We know one was lost during Ragnad, or whatever those planets were called. We don't know what happened to the other one, but we know where all their troops went.
Into the Ultramarines.
And, I think Imperial Fists and Dark Angels.
Yeah. My understanding was purely Ultramarines because they got 500,000 or something.
Oh, no, they don't have that many. No, they only had 200,000, which was still a lot. But no, the Legion was broken down and given out, and it was actually Dorn's idea to erase everyone's memories of them.
It's clever thinking right there. I mean, look, right? We shouldn't even know about this stuff. We shouldn't know so much that people who are reading this book shouldn't know anything about it. I hope one thing when it comes to the Horus Heresy stuff, I think they've done a very good job, even though it's sometimes frustrating. And I hope they keep it up the whole way through, because some things need to be unknown or unresolved, and sometimes that's the best talking points. Is I don't want to know everything that the Emperor. I don't want to know the origin of the Emperor's story, the Emperor's plan.
We should never know.
No, I love getting hints of it, or hints of somebody's thoughts of it, or somebody else's perspective, but you never know the whole thing. Because first off, if you were to tell me in a book, even if it was like a 500-page novel, write out the Emperor's plan and his whole history and his origin, at the end of the day, I'm probably going to be like, it's not as cool as I thought it would be. Like, at this point,
you need
because it is so big and grandiose, like, there's no way that you can do it justice. But also, like, that having that mystery to it, having those always questions, like, did he know what he was doing? Did he know that Horus would turn? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Like, that's half of what fandom is having those discussions, having those unanswered questions. And I like the fact that for a good majority of the books, even when the Emperor is in them, he's barely in them, because it's not about the Emperor. It's about the Primarchs, the legions, and the people else involved in the heresy. The Emperor is on his throne, and he's got bigger things to do than get involved in your novel. So I hope they keep that vague, and I also like...
I think they actually answered that, or at least a piece of fanon has been presented to me as fact. Supposedly in one of the recent books, the Emperor has been described as having known what would happen, that he lives in a different time stream. So he treats them as they were or as they will be compared to the time they're in.
He knows, but not everything. Because a board of set reveals where he knows ideas. He's like, oh, this many people will likely betray me, and these are probably the ones who'll do it. But the thing is, he's not that omnipotent. He doesn't know everything.
He's also not that cruel to purge all of them.
Yeah.
That sounds kinda useless, to be fair.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Well, The Outcast Dead, which is not a great book for some.
No.
Some people don't like it. I didn't dislike it, but the whole point
It was meh.
It was meh. Yeah. The whole point of the book was basically, you find out at the end, like, the Emperor's like, look, I can be omnipotent and I can be omnipowerful. I can't be both. I can't be both at the same time. So, one or the other. And right now, I have to be this. So, like, it's a little snippet there towards the end of the story, but, like, that's really what you get out of it. It's like, oh, okay, well, that kind of helps paint the brush, or it helps deal with those questions that were already forming, like, well, why isn't the Emperor doing this? Or why wouldn't he know this? Or why did he know? Like, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Maybe it was in that time where he's like, you know what? I don't have time for this shit. I got Emperor things to do.
I gotta be an Emperor real quick.
Yeah.
He's a neat character. I like the Emperor as a character, but we can't know everything about him.
And I'm okay with that.
It would ruin too much.
Well, we're kind of getting to the tail end here.
We have an idea.
Of the,
we completely forgot we're supposed to be talking about Night Lords.
We were supposed to be talking about Night Lords. I think we kind of did, for the most part. We talked about more Night Lords than we talked about Imperial Fist when we did the Imperial Fist episode. I'll say that.
To be fair, Imperial Fist were fresh off the plate. We didn't have much opinions on them.
That's fair. And I'll take it.
If you want a little jokey thing about the Night Lord's art, what's his name? Guy that gets +1 if the enemy hasn't got a board.
Sevatar?
Sevatar. If you look at his art, he's got the artist's signature on it.
Oh.
Does he?
Yeah. Or at least he's got some letters.
I'm going to go check that, because I did not know that.
Well, when you're not playing Legions, what do you do?
I think I'll kick this one off. Sleep, study, or read. Or play a different game.
Fair enough.
How about you, Seven?
I pretty much just work 7 to 7, so I don't have much time.
Ouch, that hurts.
Are you going to work after this?
No, I will sleep and then I will go to work, so...
It's 6:30, isn't it, were you?
Probably the weekend. I assume he doesn't work Sundays.
No, I work every day for 6 months now, pretty much.
Ooh.
Ah, that's brutal.
Yeah, it's how islands work, so after... in a month from now, they will fire me and I will be in... how it's called, like, I will be paid by the government.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, that's right.
On like a leave?
yeah, something like that. But it's good money, and I can't complain, I guess.
All right.
Yeah. Fair, that's fair.
How about you, Axel? What you up to?
Well, besides working, I'm prepping to actually be a player in a D&D session for once in my goddamn life, and not the forever DM.
Oh, hey.
So I'm reading back up on the more obscure player 5e rules that I'll need to know. And just getting ready for that.
Very
So good to not be the forever DM. Such a painful feeling.
Don't backseat DM.
Oh, we don't... Well, this is the guy's first time.
Okay, if he needs the help, then backseat.
Yeah, I've talked to him. I'm like, listen, I know these rules. I've done story coding for you for the last year or two. You need help, I'll be here. But if not, I'm going to try to ruin your session every way possible through bullshit. So have fun.
I will be a player.
I will be your enemy.
I will be
what you did to me.
That's exactly right.
Oh, he's already learned the hard way. He shouldn't let me have 4 arms, and each of them reset with action surge. I've already made him correct that mistake. No. I'm not having 16 attacks in a turn, and that'd be fine.
Come on, man. Don't be a douche.
That'd be amazing, though. 16 attacks. But yeah, DMing. I'm not going to do it for once. So happy.
All right. Well, I've been doing a little bit of everything lately, trying to get stuff unpacked, squeeze in some games, try some new games, get crazy with it, enjoy my time.
Yeah,
we're getting into the fall here, so once winter hits, I'll be inside a little bit more. So, get outside a little bit too, enjoy that while we can, the fall weather. That's a bit. I don't have anything super special planned. But I wanted to talk about really quick, because we typically go from that talking about plugs, and Doles7 did ask me to plug an upcoming tournament that he is going to be running. It's a week tournament. So typically, the tournaments that take place on the Discord happen on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. But he's planning on hosting them Monday through Friday. I don't know. I don't have details. I asked him to send me details, and it might be a little too early, but I don't have the date or the time. I don't know if it's going to be a daily thing. Doles is in the European continent, so he's on that time clock. So if you are interested in playing tournaments and you haven't made the weekend tournaments because it is on a weekend and you've got other commitments, take a look, get on the Discord, check out the tournament channel, and ask when that is taking place, because I believe he said he was hoping to have it planned for second week of October, if I recall correctly. Like I'm just going off of what him and I briefly talked about verbally, and I want to make sure I mention that because we last episode we talked with Team Canada, World Cup champions, talked about the tournaments a little bit, and we have got possibly a little bit more time window for people to try playing tournaments. And next week we are going to be talking with Terse, who is the tournament organizer of Lodge Wars 5, as well as number one from the Masterclass community. He's a team captain participating in the Lodge Wars. And we're going to be talking about the Lodge Wars tournament. So there'll be more tournament talk for sure. Other than that, I also need to plug, and I forgot, I wrote myself a note and I didn't even look at it. I was going to plug this at the start of the recording, because I know last week I mentioned it at the end of the recording, but the deck list, or not the deck list contest, the promo code contest for the podcast listeners, that is still going on. Again, the deadline for that is October 23rd. I've gotten submissions for the card creation contest from the YouTube channel. I've gotten quite a few of those. I've only gotten a couple submissions for the podcast listing, which is understandable because we plugged it so late in the video, and also it's a different format. So I can't share it on the same level. But all you have to do to participate in that, to get your name in the drawing, is for promo codes for 1,000 gold, is reach out, find me on Reddit or Facebook or Discord, and PM me what your favorite episode of the podcast was and why.
Oh,
and that's it.
I forgot to do the episode number when I put my submission in. I'll do that later.
So you get to it. You're not excluded. You can. It's open to anybody. And then basically,
even me.
Everybody who gets in there gets a name in the drawing, and those drawings go out in the top. I can't say top 3, but 3 names will be drawn, and 3 players will receive promo codes worth 1,000 gold. So I do want to plug that. I do want to mention that now before I forget, because we've gone long. But I do have that. So, do you guys have anything you want to plug?
I do have something to plug, weirdly enough.
And it.
If anyone is interested in another way of getting cards, the gold, at least, I would advise you to jump over to the community YouTube channels. One, for example, is run by the host, Scuff D, and go and find some of their more recent episodes, which will also include episodes for these draws. I don't remember what the criteria are for the other ones, but I know for Scuff, he mentioned it, it's a card creation contest. I'm not going to repeat the rules, it'll take too long, but I sort of need to shout out that. On top of that, I need to shout out Orion Lodge. We've got 1 space free if you want it. We're a nice and relaxed community. That's all from me, thank you.
Alright.
Lovely.
How about you, Axel?
Me? I'm gonna do the. I'm gonna shout out my boy Dorn. He made me this beautiful crab, and I love it dearly. That's Dorn Stash on Instagram, and Drew Lee Clark. He does art, he does commissions, and he likes his liquor, and he's a good guy. He also listens to all of these, and I got to put in these arbitrary me saying words wrong. Erebus. Erebus. Which one is it? You tell me. All right.
I can.
No, I refute you, sire. You've been refuted.
I ain't no lord.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us tonight. I know it was a little early for, I say tonight, but for you guys it's like this morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, we talked about Night Lords as best as we can. We'll keep our fingers crossed. We'll hope that the sun rises on Nostromo once more. I don't know. I'm trying
Just
to be
looking out the
poetic.
window to see if the sun's rising here. No, it's not yet.
Yeah. All right. That's it for me. Bye.
But
Bye-bye.
The sunlight dims.
This has been another episode of the Warp Chatter Podcast. Thank you for listening.
Eternal loyalty!
Burn it! Burn it all!
Well executed!